our topic for discussion, which tonight that is going to be on generators. I'm going to give a quick pause here. Usually during a net, you bring up a topic for discussion and you get people registered into the net. And what happens is when we do our roundtable tonight, where everybody's going to have a chance to talk about our net and what information is presented, I will work down the list and I will call everybody out individually that would like to participate. If you want to monitor when you register for the net, please let me know that you will be monitoring as well, and I will not pick you out when I go down the list. People monitoring is always welcome. I'm going to give a quick short pause again here. Okay, I just want to announce too that Jim does take these nets and he puts them on YouTube. So to find the YouTube page, that is going to be all one word, Prep CH for channel, Prep CH 14. That will be at Prep. Yes, that's right. I apologize. I'm kind of going over my notes a little bit. I did things kind of quick. I'm going to take a short pause here. It is currently 6 o'clock, and that will be starting in half a second. We also have a email address that is at prepchannel14 at gmail.com, and on YouTube it is at prep-talk2me that you will find our YouTube channel. Jim puts out our nets every night, and he also takes a deeper dive and presents another video as well, looking into things that we have discussed over the net. It's definitely really worth checking that YouTube channel out, guys. Thank you very much. One more quick pause here. I want to welcome everybody to the Preppers Net. It is 6 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get it started real fast, though. Do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net? Please go ahead, speak your name clearly, and what state you are currently in. Okay, I will also let everybody know that is here. We do have Chuck Wilson in the net. He is currently running a live on TikTok. So we're going to definitely try to watch our language a little bit more tonight, guys. Usually we don't get out of line on this channel or during this net anyways. So I'd like to give it thanks. I also want to thank everybody that's registered for the net. One more quick pause here and we'll get things moving. Okay, tonight's net will be about generators, continuing on from the topic last Sunday. I apologize. I was not here for that. Jim did discuss 3 different types of electricity that you could use while you're in emergency situations. 3 different types of electricity you could prep with. Your vehicle battery being one. That does have limitations, though, and you would have to continuously fuel the vehicle to be able to keep that battery charged. He did discuss generators, and he also discussed solar generators. So we are going to look into generators in general tonight as our topic is for discussion. With that, I'm going to go ahead and hand the mic over to Jim. Jim, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Red Bear, and everybody. For those new to the PrepNet, welcome. I'll do a little clarification here. Our YouTube channel, go to YouTube and put in at PrepNet-Talk2Me. And that'll get you to our YouTube channel. What we have on the YouTube channel is we have this presentation, but it's an expanded presentation. There are some things that just don't work well over the radio. So I've added pictures, animations, things of that nature that make the explanation much more better. And also, there's additional stuff that is not actually presented here. Plus, we also tape this so you can hear. Let me do a quick break. And the email address is prepnetch14@gmail.com. And put subject, or in the subject line, put question, and we'll try and answer your question. Or if you have a suggestion for things you want to talk about, put the word suggestion in the topic. With another quick little break here before we get started. Well, we're trying to provide basic information on preparing for unseen situations. The information here is very general in nature and provided to get everyone thinking about preparing, and not a detailed how to do this, go by that, etc. Each week, we present a topic on preparing to get the conversation started. So let's get going. One more break. And I've already explained about the expanded. I'm reading from the script in case you're wondering. Already talked about the expanded presentation. Generators are another way to provide you with electricity. As with anything in preparing, they have their pros and their cons. We will be discussing portable generators here that run on gas or diesel. We're not going to cover the other household generators and other deals of that nature. Generator specifications are important as you need to get a generator that will meet your needs. Generators are rated in watts, such as 1,000 watts, 3,000 watts, and so on. Be careful here. Break. Generators really have two specifications. One is the maximum running watts, and the other is the maximum peak watts. The running watts are the maximum amount of watts the generator can provide continuously. This is the specification you need to know to see how many things you can run at the same time. The peak or surge watts are needed for anything that needs more watts to start but less to run. This is the case for things like refrigerators, freezers, and many electric motors. Make sure the generator you get will fit those needs, as many will advertise the peak watts instead of the continuous watts, so you may not be getting the generator you need. Break. Another specification or classification is how cleanly the generator produces electricity. The standard type usually just says it's a generator. These may or may not put out a clean AC sine wave. These are fine to power power tools, motors, and most lights. The other type is called inverter generators. These put out a more pure sine wave, like your grid power. Use these types of generators if you need to run electronics, computers, and laser printers. We will have more detailed explanation of AC sine waves in the solar topic of All About Electricity. Break. Now, many of the smaller generators, usually 3,000 watts or less, will only produce 120 volt AC. Many larger generators over 3,000 watts can also provide 240 volt split phase power. That's what comes into your house. This is used to power like electric water heaters, electric ranges, electric dryers, and 240 volt deep well pumps. Each outlet usually has an AC breaker so you don't overload the outlet. Please look at the specifications of the generators before you buy one. Now, how do I know what size generator to get? Break. The easiest way is to look at the appliance to see what the company says it draws, and then add all of those you want to run at the same time together to get the maximum running watts needed. To be on the safe side, though, find a generator that produces at least 25% more than that. The other spec you need to know is how much fuel the generator you will use. They will usually quote this as the number of running hours at 50% load per fuel tank. As an example, my 6,500 watt generator will run 8 hours on 6 gallons of gas at 50% load, which would be 3,225 watts. This will also help you determine how much fuel you will need to have on hand. Great. Now to a dirty little secret. As much as I rely on and like my solar and large battery bank solutions, I have access to 6 generators. They're all portable to a degree. My 1,000 watt inverter generator is my most portable and the quietest. It will run 8 hours on half a gallon of gas at 50% load, which is good enough for my charging most of my batteries, rechargeable batteries, radios, but it's really too small for anything larger, say for power tools. My 1,800 watt generator is good for most hand tools and lights. Great. My 3,500 watt generator is a 120 240 volt generator, which is mounted on a wagon. It's very portable and can run my 240 volt well pump and anything else I need. Why have so many generators? For one thing, these were purchased over time, like decades, and they each have their place in my alternative power solutions. If my 1,000 watt inverter generator will charge my batteries with less fuel, why would I use my larger, more fuel-hungry generator to do the same thing? Now to the weighted pros and cons. Break. The pros. It's a one-unit solution. Just start it and connect your stuff. A generator will provide the stated output until the tank runs out. Battery-type solutions will drain the battery, and it will take time to recharge, whereas you can quickly refill the generator and get it going again. The cons are they do rely on fuel, which will be in limited supply. You have to deal with the heat and the exhaust produced by the generators. You need extra fuel, oil, air and oil filters, and spark plugs. Right? My recommendation is to use generators for specific things that a generator may excel at, and then use a solar system for most everything else. Well, we will have more information on this solar topic of all about electricity. Getting to the end, our next week's topic will continue our All About Electricity series and discuss batteries. If you have any questions about what we have discussed here tonight, roundtable, or again, send your questions to prepnetch14@gmail.com and enter question in the subject line. And again, I cannot urge you enough to view the expanded presentation on our YouTube channel for additional information on our topic for tonight. Quick break. But I also encourage you to go to our YouTube channel to watch our previous presentations. And we literally started, the first one was, what's the first thing I need to do? And it's basically figure out what you need to do. So I would encourage everybody to go take a look at those, because there is a whole bunch of additional information. And always, if you go to the YouTube channel, make sure you check in the video description, because there may be links to things that can give you additional information. With that, I'm going to send it back to Red Bear.
Copy that. Thank you very much, Jim. I just want to let everybody know Jim puts out a lot of information during these nets. He takes the time to research it himself. He has a lot of knowledge, and he also takes the time to look at these emails with any questions or topics that you may be interested in. He also is the one that is running the YouTube channel as well. So Jim is putting a lot of work and a lot of time and effort into this. So I'm going to encourage everybody to definitely go over to YouTube and check those videos out. There's a lot of information in the expanded presentations that Jim does that we don't necessarily cover during the nets, and he also focuses a little harder on some of the questions that are asked during the nets. So that's why that expanded presentation is very, very important. Quick break here. Thanks again, Jim. Really appreciate it. At this time, do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net?
Yes, I would. Red Band Break. Sorry to come so late.
Joey, we got you down. Glad to have you here. You're always welcome, brother. Appreciate it. Do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net? Chuck, are you with us? Okay, Chuck did say he'll be popping in and out. He's got a lot going on that live right now. So we'll just go ahead and start looking into going into the roundtable here now that Jim has presented us with information on generators. I have taken quite a bit of notes, and I'll continue to take more tonight to be able to talk about. So one of the concerns I have here is the heat and the exhaust with the cons. That exhaust, that is very, very important. If you're going to run a fuel style generator, you definitely want to have very, very good ventilation. You do not want to be breathing that exhaust in. So you also need to be careful with where you're placing the generator while it's running due to the heat that the generator will put out with that exhaust. Potential fire hazard right there, something to look at. Quick pause here. Okay, I'm going to start working down the list. I'm going to start with JW in Louisiana. JW, do you have any comments on tonight's topic, which is generators? The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, hi, my name's JW. I'm from Louisiana, and we have quite frequently lose our power down here because of the power lines. I live in a rural area, a lot of trees and what have you, so y'all know the drill. I have a generator that I installed myself, and it's a Duramax. It's a hybrid generator. I run it on propane. I got a 125-gallon tank hooked to it, and it's out away from my house. I have it wired to my house, break. I have a main disconnect transfer switch on the outside of my house that I transfer, so I'm not hooked to the co-op power during the outage. That's pretty important to make sure that you don't backfeed into the power lines to hurt the workers that are trying to give you power back. So that's one big important thing that I think the most important thing of all of generators hooking to your house is to be disconnected from the main power.
Copy that. Thank you very much, JW. I'm taking notes here. Yes, that is very, very important. If you're going to tie your generator into the house, make sure to shut that main switch off so you don't backfeed into the power lines. That could potentially kill one of those electricians out there working on the lines trying to restore your power. So make sure to shut that power off that may be trying to come in so you don't push any power back out. That is extremely important. Thank you for that, JW. And one other thing I want to touch on with what you said, you were talking about using propane. I'm going to give a short pause here. Burning propane instead of burning regular gas or diesel is a lot cleaner. There are some setbacks running propane, though. You wind up with lower power, lower wattage when you do that. So looking at what Jim said, when you're looking at purchasing a generator, look at your fuel source and look at the generator and ask yourself, am I still going to have enough power? Is this generator still going to be able to crank out enough wattage for what I need it to do? That is extremely important. I just recently went through this buying a generator. I bought a dual fuel generator, one that can run gas and propane. Now, it advertises it's going to crank out higher wattage burning gas than it will propane. So that's something I had to think about. I've chose to run propane myself, though, just because it does burn cleaner. One more quick break here. All right, we're going to call on Matt 6 in Tennessee. Matt, the floor is yours, sir.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, Jim had a lot of good points. Sine waves, if you use them like a Honda 2000, generator, inverter generator, better for electronics, this and that. You also got to remember too, watts over volts is your amp. So say you got a 60 watt incandescent bulb, and 120 volts, that's half an amp. And you got to base your watts over the volts for the amps to determine how much you're going to use and draw and pull. I have two generators. Hold on a sec, break. Living in Florida for as long as I did, I started out with a Champion 3,550 watt generator, and I set up my panel. I have electrical background for 9 years in Florida, so I set up my usually an outlet underneath my panel, and that'd be for my little generator, and I balance my load on my panel side to side, and I can always run my lights, fridge, the basic necessities. Right, Colin. And I set it up so I can use my backup generator, which is that one, but I also have the Duramax 13,000 EH, like you guys were talking about dual fuel, propane and gas. And you're right, the propane, you get less power out of it, but it's cleaner. Another good point too is when you actually turn the generator off, cut off the fuel line and let that gas burn out so you don't screw up the carburetor. Also, I backfed my house with my 13,000 watt and run it outside and just backfeed it into the house, turn off the main breaker. Still to install a transfer switch, but yeah, you definitely don't want to backfeed and hurt anybody on the line side or the lineman side. And but yeah, I enjoy my generators, and you just gotta be careful because you're gonna get bit if you don't know what you're doing. Usually, if you don't know what you're doing, get an electrician or a buddy that knows what they're doing. Better safe than sorry. I know a lot of people backfeed through their dryer plugs, but gotta make sure you turn off that main breaker. And even then, when the power comes back on, you make sure you turn your generator off and everything's clean and safe before you turn that main breaker back on. Also, trying to think of other things here. If you balance the load in your panel, like I did, I can run my little generator for the necessities, the big one for the whole house. And the compressors, like your AC compressor, all the compressors for your fridge and all that, they are going to draw a lot of power. Also heating elements. One second here. Anything they use for heating sources, like microwaves, toaster ovens, this and that, they draw a lot of power, a lot of wattage, a lot of amperage. And if you're trying to plan on using that type of stuff, make it dedicated to the generator if possible, because that's going to just trip your breaker, your generator, whatever have you. So be careful on that. Anything else? I guess I'll come back to it, but yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Red Bear and Jim.
Copy that, Matt. Really appreciate your input there. Thank you very, very, very much, sir. Couple of things that I wrote down while you were discussing your thoughts there. Cutting off the fuel while you're shutting the generator down. I have run gas through my generator, and what I normally do when I'm getting ready to shut the generator off is I'll actually turn that fuel off while the generator is still running, so that way that carburetor can just empty right out of fuel. Let the generator just run out of fuel, and it'll shut off automatically. And if you've got a on-off switch on that generator, you can turn it off at that point once the generator stalls out. That's the way I personally do it. I'm going to give a short break here. Another thing you brought up, Matt, I personally do not possess the capability to wire a generator directly into my house, or even a couple of them, going off what you said, trying to dedicate a generator to the oven, for example, or the microwave, because they're going to draw higher power, while they're running. And again, that does play into what Jim said with the peak wattage on your generator. Startup, you always draw more power, always. So your bigger appliances like your stove and your microwave, good examples, definitely look at that startup for those and what kind of wattage they're going to draw while they're running, just to make sure that that dedicated generator is going to be able to handle the load that stove or microwave is going to require. Again, though, like I said, I'm unable to wire a generator into my own house, so I would definitely take Matt's advice, and I would be bringing an electrician in to have him help me, teach me, guide me. It's going to be money well spent. I'm just saying there. So something to think about. We are not all electricians, and when wiring a generator into the house, you can cause all kinds of problems. So unless you truly know what you're doing, get somebody that does. Even if you have to pay an electrician, it's going to be worth the money that you spent. One last break here. Just want to check and see, do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net? Please go ahead and speak your name clearly and what state you are currently in. All right. Chuck, are you available, sir? One more quick try for Chuck, and then we'll move on. Chuck, are you with us? All right, we'll come back and see if Chuck can speak with us here in a little bit. Donna in Montana. Donna, dear, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I don't have a whole lot to add to the conversation. This is something that I am just learning about and trying to understand. It's very confusing to me. So I'm just sitting here taking notes and listening to everyone trying to soak it all up.
Do you have any questions right now, Donna?
Not at the moment.
Okay. If you do have any questions, like Jim said, go ahead and shoot an email with the subject being question, and we will get back to you on that as soon as we can and answer any questions you may have then. I myself am still learning, though, Donna, just to let you know. I already admitted that I am not an electrician. I do not understand electricity the greatest, so I tend to try to stay away from it because I know there's a lot of danger in it. So I have successfully wired up a car stereo once or twice. That's about as far as I'm willing to go. Joey Baggs. Brother, what is your thoughts? The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't hear the question on my thoughts.
Well, the topic for discussion tonight is about generators, and Jim definitely threw a lot of information out there. We're looking at what the generator that we're about to purchase, what the rated wattage is as far as the max run wattage and the max peak wattage for that generator. We need to have the generator fit our needs. The inverter style generators run a lot quieter and they're better. The electricity they provide is a lot better for household items, your cell phone, your computer, things like that. So if you're looking at having to charge that stuff up, you may want to get an inverter style generator. So, do you have any questions or anything, Joe, about generators?
Well, the only thing that I would say is definitely make sure that you buy the right generator for your house to begin with. With all the equipment, the stove and refrigerators, definitely got to make sure you got the right generator that's going to do the right wattage for everything in your house when a storm hits. Having the inverter, I believe it helps. But other than that, just make sure you got to buy the right one for you and your house, where it's going to hook up, connect, and be able to power everything and not struggle. That's my thoughts.
Copy. Thank you very much, Joe. Really appreciate it. Something Jim did bring up too himself, he was discussing how he owns more than one generator, and he explained what the wattage was on each of those and what the purpose was for each of those generators and how mobile they were as well. That's something to think about, when you're trying to power tools, working on a job site. Okay, that's not necessarily prepping for an emergency or a catastrophic event or anything like that, but still, there's generators out there that you can use on a job site to run tools. Those style generators may not be the best suited for trying to power a house, trying to power an RV, trying to recharge things, trying to run your well to keep your, to be able to keep your water on supply, things like that. So, Jim discussed how he uses several different generators for several different things, and he explained how the wattage matched what he was trying to use it for. And as a matter of fact, Jim, you did state that you should try to go over with the wattage of the generator by at least 25 watts. So that way you're guaranteed to have enough power. It's better to have the generator be able to push out more power than what you actually need. That'll help the generator run better as well. So that's something to think about. I'm going to give a quick break here.
Yeah, it's up for Red Bear. I'd also like to make an announcement, if I could. Sorry to break in on you.
No, Joey, you're good. Go ahead. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Anybody, I was supposed to say this on the other net 2 weeks ago. I didn't get a chance. I'm in a GMRS club, and we're doing something called Project Long Haul. I know I've talked about it with some people. This is for GMRS users. If you want to get involved with Project Long Haul, you can go to Facebook, look it up. You can go to YouTube, look it up. And we're trying to accomplish radio communications from here to California, going radio to radio on a simplex channel. Okay? So, if you want to know anything about it, just go to YouTube or Facebook. You can put your call sign in. You'll get put on the map. And at a certain time and date, we're going to try and pass a message radio to radio on a simplex channel. And the PL tone is also listed. And we're running 26 days into the program. And we already got just about 350 people already involved. So we're looking for state coordinators, and we want to try and get everybody involved with this to get more people interested in GMRS and for people to get their licenses. So without taking up too much time, you guys can always Ask Me, or you can go to YouTube, Facebook, Project Long Haul. And I'll answer any of your questions later on after the Prepper's Net is done. Thank you, Red Bear, and I appreciate everybody.
Joey, that's awesome. That is awesome. I want to say a special thank you for that, and I wrote that down. I'm going to be looking into that myself. I would love to join something like that. So if anybody here does have a GMRS license and would like to join in on that, that is Project Long Haul. You can find it on Facebook and YouTube. And Joey did just say that if there's any more questions on that, he would be more than happy to talk to you after the net and answer any other questions. But again, you can find Project Long Haul on Facebook and YouTube as well. So please go check that out and join in on that. Thanks again, Joey. We'll give a quick break here.
And for you are welcome. Something that's never been done before, and we're going to try to accomplish that.
That's actually pretty cool, and you got some gears turning in my mind with Meshtastic as well. But do we have any other last thoughts tonight, comments, questions, or concerns on generators?
I did want to kind of add in a little bit, if you don't mind. If you're using a gasoline generator, if you run any smaller motor, really, to be honest, you can run ethanol-free gas is optimal. Plus, if you have Stabil, it's a stabilizer treatment for your gasoline, it'll make the gasoline last 2, 3, almost 4 times as long. Short goes stale. Just a second note there.
Copy that, Matt. Yeah, that's very important. If you're going to run gas in your generator, you want ethanol free. What I normally do is I buy what's called rec gas here in Michigan. It's recreational gas. It's meant for dirt bikes, quads, things of that nature. You know, your small engines like Matt's talking about that do not want that ethanol. Your generators that run gas are not going to want that ethanol. So definitely run ethanol-free gas. It's very important. And the particular generator I bought stated that for the warranty, I had to run some type of a fuel stabilizer in there as well. And they have ways of testing that if I was to turn the generator in for a warranty claim. So I did a little more research into this, and that's something very important too. You really should be doing a lot of research into the generator that you're about to buy and continue researching about it after you buy it. Learn everything you can on it so there's no question when you absolutely need it, it's going to be there for you. So continue learning about your generators and the fuel, and definitely run a fuel stabilizer in your gas as well. Going to give a quick break here. Thanks again, Matt. Really appreciate that information. Do we have anybody else who's got any questions, comments, or concerns on the net tonight?
Break.
Floor is yours, JW.
Yes, sir. One more thing to probably add to, like, if you're not using a whole house generator, you know, a smaller generator like 12,000, whatever. You got to remember that even if it's a new generator, when you crank that generator up and it says it runs for 8 hours or whatever, after that first run time, you need to check your oil periodically. And to check your oil, the engine has to be stopped. And because those generators will use some oil periodically, they will use a little bit of oil. So you got to keep an eye on that oil. Even though you fill it to the fill mark and you think you run it for 2 or 3 days and don't have to worry about it, that's not the case. You got to check that oil. And I use Royal Purple oil in my generators, and it doesn't seem to use as much oil running that kind of oil in it.
Yeah, good point, man. And sorry to break in, but you should also have a break-in oil, because your first set of, run it for a little while, change the oil out, and that's a very important step. So good point.
something else to think about here. Yeah, the Royal Purple is really good oil. That is very good oil. It's a little bit pricey, but you're getting what you're paying for there. So, yeah, definitely run a good oil in there. Also, when purchasing a generator, that you're going to want to run it for the break-in period that the manufacturer recommends before you even try to really use it much. And just like JW said, definitely check that oil as much as possible during the break-in time. You also want to change that oil after you run the break-in period through that generator. That's going to get any fine machine parts out of the engine and whatnot. That oil will catch that, and that'll help with the life of your generator. Quick break here. Okay, Chuck, are you with us yet, sir?
No, he's involved in that in his live right now.
Copy that. Okay. Yeah, I figured he was. So, do we have any other last thoughts, comments, or concerns tonight about generators?
I have some comments after everybody's done.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, just let everybody know I do pay attention to all these questions and what we've talked about, and sometimes I will post comments or a video about the comments and include a lot of this information because it wasn't either covered or it was obviously you wanted more information about that. I can tell you right now, even after I got through with this presentation, I already had started a comments thing, and I can see after the discussion tonight, there's going to be a whole bunch more. Let me break. I would encourage again to go watch some of the other videos because some of this stuff was covered. I have covered about the heat and the exhaust. People, every emergency there is out there, somebody ends up, getting either ill or passing because of exhaust. And your propane is cleaner than gasoline, and it actually lasts longer. Actually, it really doesn't go bad. You do lose the smell that they put into it, and just way too many things to answer here. But I will be posting additional things on it, and a lot of really good feedback. I appreciate it, guys. Back to Red Bear.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Yeah, definitely. When it comes down to generators, using them for the proper reasons and using them the proper ways, this is a very, very, very big conversation, and we can definitely continue on with it. So, along with the different styles of generators, what they put out, what they run on, things of that nature. So there's a lot in this topic, definitely. We're going to check the time here real quick. Okay, it's getting kind of down towards the end of the hour. Do we have anybody else who would like to register real quick for the net tonight? The floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Hey, I wanted to make one more comment if I could.
Go ahead, JW. What you got for us, boss?
Well, a lot of people can't afford a whole house generator. And that's why a lot of people buy the smaller generator because they want to keep a refrigerator going or a TV going to be able to monitor news stations and what have you. That's all fine and dandy. But to get that power in your house, you either have to run extension cords through a window or through a door, or if you do wire it to your house, you make sure you have some kind of disconnect from main power. Right? And a smaller generator, you can hook it to your house, to your main breaker, the main generator on your house side, but turn off your main going out or that's coming in from the main power, and you just can be selective on your breakers. Turn off all the breakers you don't want to operate. Smaller generators won't run your hot water heaters, stoves, electric stoves, stuff like that. Even air conditioners. Small window units maybe, but not big stuff. So you just got to be mindful of the size of your generator and what it can and will not handle. And you just use your breaker box to turn off what you don't want to run, and it works fine. That's a poor boy's way of powering your house during an outage or a storm.
Copy that, JW. That's very true. Very true. Something else that I've also done, I bought a small little, well, it's a good sized battery pack, basically, is what it is, but it claims to be a generator. It came with a 100-watt solar panel that takes a little while to charge that battery up in that little AKA generator, as I'm going to call it. That does charge small devices. So in an emergency situation, I could potentially use that for charging my lights and things of that nature as well, versus using my vehicle battery like Jim was talking about last week. Just a cheap little solar charging battery pack is all it is. It won't jump a car. It won't do anything special. It's just meant to recharge small things. Your rechargeable lights, a computer if needs be, a phone if they're working at that time. So that's something to think about as well. Just a little emergency battery pack, and they're not that expensive. I think I paid between $100 and $150 for that. I might have even paid less. I found it on Amazon. So I no longer have to charge my phones, flashlights, things like that off of my vehicle or off of my main generator. I'm going to give a short break here. Okay, we're getting down there. We got about 15 minutes left. Do we have any other comments that anybody would like to add tonight?
Yeah, it's not quite really a generator per se, but I have inverters that are like use DeWalt batteries, or I have DeWalt one that use DeWalt batteries, and I got one Everlast that can go onto a car battery or whatever have you. And I got another DeWalt one that uses one battery. The one that uses two batteries. They're really handy. If you got a lot of batteries, a lot of power tools. I charge my Talk2Me radios on the thing, all the time, and it's also got an AC outlet on it, and it's good in a pinch. I bring it out to the shed, because my shed I have a fan and a light, and I bring it out there, and that's not a bad way to go too. Hold on a second. Yeah, you could do that too. It's not a bad little backup. I recommend it actually if you have a lot of batteries, like I do. DeWalt, Craftsman, whatever have you. That's all.
Copy that, Matt. Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else that would like to throw some last comments, or maybe you've got a question? Go ahead. Okay. At this time, Jim, I'm going to return the mic back to you, sir, for any last thoughts or comments that you would like to make.
Okay, Red Bear, no, not really. There's not enough time for me to flap my gums on everything that I've heard. But again, I'm gonna post a comments video up there following this one. And again, there is additional information that is up there. So anyway, appreciate everybody's participation in this. Thought it was a really, really good net, and a lot of good info got passed around.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Good night. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Red Bear. Much obliged.
Copy that, Matt. And Jim, thank you very much for the topic and the information tonight. Really got everybody's gears turning and thinking about generators and sharing information that we all have. I've learned a few things tonight, so that's always good. And we've got Donna taking notes and learning things. So you never know, we might actually get a question from Donna, which on our nets, you are able to ask questions from previous nets as well, and we will answer them as best as we can. I'm going to give a quick break here. Okay, guys, we talked quite a bit about the YouTube channel, and we've also talked about the email address. That is, let me find it in my notes here. Email address is prepch14, prepchannel14 at gmail.com. If you have any questions, please put in the subject line question. If you have any comments, please put comments. You can also give us ideas there as well for future presentations during our nets. One more quick break here.
Correction.
Jim, I apologize. Go ahead.
No problem. The email address is prepnet, ch14 at gmail.com.
Copy that. Prepnet, ch14 at gmail.com. Prepnet, ch14 at gmail.com. Thank you, Jim. I'm always forgetting that net, and I even wrote it down wrong. So, all right, quick break here. Next week's topic is going to be about batteries. Open invitation for everybody to come on back and join in on that. And if anybody can hear us through Chuck's Live, anybody buying radios, next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we will be holding another net here on Channel 14 on the Talk to Me radios, the Preppers channel, and all our nets on this channel are about prepping. Everybody is invited. We would love to have you all come back. Do we have any other last thoughts, comments, questions, or concerns tonight?
I just want to bring up one thing. When you're looking at generators, watts over volts equals amps. Like if you're doing a dedicated circuit breaker like I do, so if you got 100 or 1200 watt generator, just 120 volts, watts or volts is amps. You get the proper breaker for that. Like my 13,000 Duramax, I use a 50 amp breaker because it's a 240 volt, and gotta make sure you get the right generator for the right size for the right breaker.
Copy that, Matt. That is very, very important. Getting the right generator, the right size to match what you need the generator to do. If you get an underpowered generator, it is not going to give you the electricity that you're looking to use. So that's why that is very important. As Jim stated earlier, if the generator can crank out a few more watts than what you need, that's always good. So the generator will actually run better. It won't have to work as hard to supply you with the electricity that you're trying to get out of it.
And always upsize the wire. Make sure you have enough wire for it. 14 gauge is only good for 15 amps. 12 gauge is good for 20 amps. 10 gauge is good for 30 amps, and etc. You gotta make sure you have the right wire, because otherwise you're gonna burn the wire up. It might burn your house down.
Yeah, burning the house down is not what we're looking to do here. So if you have to get a professional involved, if you have to call an electrician to be able to help you out, that may be worthwhile, something to look into. I can't stress that enough. We do have people here on TikTok. We do have people here on Talk to Me that are very educated as well in generators, usage of, and how to properly use them. Jim, Matt, and JW definitely have a lot of information for us on generators, so I would definitely be seeking them out. If you have any other questions on tonight's topic, you can also shoot us an email at the email there. That is prepnetch14 at gmail.com. Quick pause here. Jim, I want to say thank you again for bringing the topic of discussion tonight. I think you did an amazing job. I've taken a lot of notes. Joey Baggs, I want to say thank you for talking about Project Long Haul. Hey guys, we can find that on Facebook and YouTube. And Joey said he's willing to answer any questions that we might have here in just a few seconds when we shut this net down. So I'm going to ask one last time, any last questions, comments, or concerns tonight? Go ahead, please. Hey, thanks a lot, everybody, for coming and joining in on our Preppers Net tonight. Like Jim said, I think we had a really, really good net tonight. A lot of information was presented. I think we all are walking away a lot smarter about generators. That is always a plus. I want to say thank you to everybody who did register. And I want to say thank you to anybody who's sitting in the background monitoring right now. Please feel free to register next week, even if you only would like to monitor. Thanks, guys, for everything you guys do with us on the Preppers Net. At this time, I would like to turn Channel 14 back over to its regular operations and shut this net down. Thanks a lot, guys. Everybody have a great Sunday evening, and I hope you all have a great start tomorrow morning to your week.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Like I said, much obliged. Good night.